Chud watch for later? I mean, why not now?
I'm calling to tell the non-tippers to come pick up their orders.
Easy answer. No, refund me. Because tipping is not for the delivery service. I pay a delivery fee. In fact, on top of that, I pay inflated prices for a delivery. The tip is for good delivery service. I will never pre-tip an Uber Eats or a Dasher or any of that shit. You guys are just glorified delivery people that feel like you're entrepreneurs. But you really just have the same job I had for a pizzeria when I was in high school. You're just a delivery driver. Now, if you deliver my food in a timely manner, I'll tip you because I'm tipping for the quality service. However, if you deliver 7 orders along the way, you ain't getting a tip. I'm not tipping for my food arriving cold so you could make more money. And your threats don't mean anything because somebody will pick up my order or I'll get a refund and order from somewhere else. Since when did you low-skill workers think you could start making demands? You're not in charge.
I'm calling to tell the non-tippers to come pick up their orders.
Easy answer.
Dude, you make TikToks. Guys, like this doesn't even get me mad. This is just funny. It's like I want to see what this guy does. This is funny.
That's the House. You obviously don't understand it. See, the big scare that the Democrats are putting out is they're saying that the Supreme Court is going to overturn Obergefell v. Hodges. And yes, I butcher that name every fucking time I say it. And if they were to do that, that would mean that states could ban same-sex marriage. And they can still do that even if this bill gets signed into law. All this bill does is repeal DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act, which defined marriage between a man and a woman.
That was already repealed under Obama, you fucking idiot. That was literally repealed under Obama. The fuck are you talking about?
I firmly believe in same-sex marriage. If 2 people love each other, they should be able to get married. Their gender shouldn't matter. But this bill doesn't protect shit. If the Supreme Court overturns that case, states will still be allowed to ban same-sex marriage. This bill is just political theater. It's a ploy by the Democrats to win more votes from the gay community and paint the Republicans as the bad guys. This bill doesn't protect a fucking thing.
One of the things that's really incredible about these type of conservative people is this is the typical conservative guy. They have no idea what their own party represents. The Republican Party was almost unanimously voted against contraception, bro. Oh god, this guy's so terrible. What does he do? I want to know. This guy, he does the same fucking thumbnail every time. I've been ripped off or not delivered too many times that I stopped tipping electronically. Now if I tip, it will be person to person. You know you could tip after the delivery, right? You know, I mean, if you don't get your shit, then you didn't get your shit. There's nothing to tip. This guy is so boring. This guy is so boring. He has 83,000 followers. His name is user HC6FDHA8AIA.
You guys were wondering what happened with my account.
Also, he got banned.
If you guys were wondering what happened with my account, the same thing that happened to my main account that had nearly 700,000 followers. Good Trouble made a video about me and his followers came over and mass reported me. So they had me taken down. Well, it was for like 4 or 5 hours while I was at the bar, so not really a big deal. But while I was waiting for them to put my account back up, because I knew they would, because I don't actually have community guideline violations, they just mass report bullshit, I created a new account and named it Questioning Liberals. Now don't worry, I'm going to name this account still Questioning Liberals, and then I'm going to leave that account name as Questioning Liberals. And then what I'll do is every time I upload a video to this account, I will duet it and add it to that account as well. This way, my videos will be added to multiple accounts at the same time. But yeah, Good Trouble's community tried to get me banned again and failed. Honestly, I can't even pretend like I'm surprised anymore.
Okay, I don't give a shit. Did you see the tag Libs of TikTok? Yeah, of course. Man discovered backup accounts and thinks he discovered electricity. Yeah, incredible. Want to watch a fun debate?
Thanks for being with us this morning. You're here, not Mick Lynch, because he's ill. He had COVID. How's he doing?
He's doing better now. He's tested negative today, so he'll be back to work today. Okay. He's doing all right. All
right. So you wanted a pay rise for your members of 8%, 9%, and you've got 4% this year. Another backdated to January. Another 4% reportedly up to 4% next year. Isn't that a win for you?
Well, no, it's one company. We're in dispute with 15 different companies, and in 14 of them, we've had 0. percent pay rise. But I have to tell you, it's a bit of a cheek having a programme asking trade unions being greedy for asking for a pay rise. The FTSE 350 top companies in this country, profits have gone up 73% since 2019. When are we going to ask, are they being greedy? What about the railway companies that have been ripping this country off for years?
The point is...
No one asks about their profits or whether they're greedy.
You're going on strike and it's going to impact
We're going on
everyday
strike.
people going to work. It's at
That's
the start
right.
of the Commonwealth Games. That's going to
No, it's not at the start of the Commonwealth Games.
Summer at its height.
It's not at the start of the Commonwealth Games. We didn't strike on the Commonwealth Games. It's the day before.
The day before it starts.
The day before is not the Commonwealth Games.
As it's starting, you've got people travelling there.
It starts the day after. They'll be travelling on the day too.
To Birmingham for the Games, it's going to impact them.
People will find it hard on a strike day, but people will find it hard when it's not a strike day, because there's people in this country spending 18% of their income travelling on trains. We've got the highest fares in Europe because profiteers have been robbing this country blind for years. At the same time, later on in this year, energy prices are going to be so high. Some of my people will be spending 2 full months of take-home pay on energy. And you're telling us that we're greedy for expecting workers to keep up with that. What we need in this country is a cost of living crisis addressed through the wage packet, and we need price caps on energy, and we need the profits taken down a peg or two. Because the people at the top of the economy, they're having a disco, and everyone else is being told that they've got to carry the can and tighten their belts. It's not on.
You wanted a pay rise. You've got that.
Now, look at these disgusting rat fucking network interviewers, these anchor scum. True scum. Lowest of the low.
Pay rise you've been offered.
Got a pay rise. It's a real terms pay cut.
Offered is more than what nurses are getting. It's more than 3%.
Nurses deserve far more than what they're getting.
For family members, bonuses worth hundreds of pounds.
No,
not good enough.
They have to cut 400 million out of their operational expenditure, thanks to Grant Shapps. So they're slashing 1/3 of the entire maintenance frontline workforce. They're cutting maintenance schedules in half. This is the infrastructure you'll be travelling on. That's what they're doing to slash money out, and they want us to accept that. And if we do that, as a reward, they're going to offer us a real terms pay cut. That is not acceptable. If workers' wages are not keeping up with inflation, they are going to be made poorer. That is not a pay rise, that is a pay cut. We're not going to have it.
Workers' pay rises cannot keep up with inflation if you're not to have a wage price spiral. Well, you know that. It's got
rubbish.
To be below...
What? If pay rises are below inflation, that means you're getting poorer every year. As productivity goes up, as wealth in society goes up, the people that generate it are going to have less. By the way, the wage price spiral is made up. It's not what's driving inflation. What happened in the 70s and what happened now was an energy crisis that kicked off inflation. It was a supply crisis, not wages. Wages are flat. We haven't raised the minimum wage since 2009. What are they talking about? I mean, maybe they have raised it in the UK, but that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
It's absolute rubbish. What's caused inflation is the shock of the supply chains from the global health emergency and rampant profits. 73% profits are up since 2019. Pay at the top is going through the roof.
Nobody's arguing that. What I'm saying
to you is no one's worried about pay at the top, Anne.
You cannot match inflation with pay. I've just explained, because then you get into the wage price spiral. Then you get into the wage price spiral.
But people at the top are all right. Their profits can carry on going through the roof. For 30 years in this country, wages have not kept up with inflation. At the same time, profits have rarely not exceeded inflation.
You tell me.
There has been a transfer of wealth from working class people to people at the top, and that can't carry on. That has got to change.
And the thing is, I mean, this is just, honestly, like the UK's politics are almost as bad as ours. Organized labor has got to cut bait with the Labour Party and the Democratic Party. The moment we can cut bait, we got to build something new, man. We got to build something new like they did in France. We have to have the courage to build something new. Like, honestly, like, they're worthless. They're useless.
You won't accept the simple fact that if pay rises match inflation, all you get is more inflation in order to cover those pay rises.
Profits inflation.
That won't solve the issue.
Do profits just vanish out of the economy? They've got no impact on inflation.
Well, if they don't make any profits, there certainly isn't going to be any investment, is there?
Now, at the moment,
so in other words, we don't need wages. We need profits. Incredible. Incredible.
is subsidising profits through paying in-work benefits.
What you're doing is inconveniencing the public to get an unreasonable pay rise when you've been offered a...
By the way, chat, I would strike even harder. If I were these guys, I want the public inconvenienced. Yell at me, I'm not going to do shit. The only way you're going to get anything done is if you tell the fucking rich to pony up. I'm not going to do shit. Incredible. Incredible.
Decent pay rise. You've been offered a decent pay rise. You've been offered a decent pay rise. You've been offered a decent pay rise. You've been, go on, they are not on strike, inconveniencing the whole country.
£588,000 a year, some of them. Is that all right?
Look.
But my members can't have a 10% pay rise.
No, because we can't afford it.
But they can take £500 million every year in profits.
So, Eddie,
we've got rolling stock leasing companies in this country.
What do you think profits are about? What do you think
we have got rolling stock leasing companies in this country.
You can't invest.
Who took $3 billion in the worst year of the health emergency.
All
can we afford that?
We're back to the 1970s.
We can afford that. We can't afford pay rises for workers.
We can understand if indeed you're unhappy with the discrepancies when it comes to bosses and their salaries. However, what does that have to do with commuters? Everyday people, they are the ones who are going to suffer.
They make the decisions on the pay. They are part of the negotiation. They're prioritizing increased rates of profit. Not just profit, but rates of profit are up, which means they're taking more out of the economy, which means they're taking more out of the worker than they were last month or the year before. Of course, it's 5-on-1. This is what happens every time on the disgusting right-wing English-speaking media, which needs to be purged completely.
Like again.
Let's be real about this. People are suffering in this country every day of the year. You mentioned nurses.
So why add more? Why add more? Why add more to that?
We need to get the cost of living crisis addressed in this country.
And you've been offered a pay rise.
Listen,
so
it's not a pay rise, it's a pay cut. If you're being offered an increase that is below inflation, it is a real terms pay cut, you will be poorer in regards to where prices are going.
You're talking about the cost of living crisis.
I am.
Reportedly, an offer of £900 as a bonus has been offered.
It's been offered as a bribe to our members.
Would that not help?
Of course it'd help, but it's not enough.
Are you helping your members by...
This is about more than money, as I've told you. It's not generous. How is that generous?
£900 going towards paying energy bills.
£900 towards energy bills that are going to be £3,200 at the end of the year.
Getting that.
And what about the energy companies? They're all right to keep ripping the country off as long as we get 900 quid. And that doesn't work for us.
If you ask for more and you get more, surely, again, that will increase further in terms of when it comes to rail prices and fair prices.
How will that increase rail prices? The government's policy to put fares up every year by the retail price index, irrespective of what we get in pay. That is government policy. Rail prices will go up by inflation every year, and working people are going to be spending 20% of their earnings on travel. 2 months take-home pay on energy bills, and you're telling us we're greedy for looking for a pound note for working class people.
Eddie,
if you're a nurse in London, how do you live on 31 grand? You can't buy a house. You can barely afford to travel.
Offered 4% this
year. They
year,
should be.
Next year, they would love that. So again,
they should be, and so do postal workers.
It's not in competition. They're not in competition. Notice how they try to pit worker against worker. Nothing. It's like the money that they produce, the value of the labor they produce, it disappears into the fucking ether. And you have to compete with the nurse?
So does everyone else in the economy.
Let's find out what our viewers think, shall we? Let's speak to Terence, calling from Nottinghamshire. Terence, do you think unions are being...
Oh, yeah, we're not at all shaping. We're not at all shaping who comes in.
Too greedy, rejecting what could be argued as a generous pay rise.
In a part, yes. I think I'm sort of sympathetic with Anne's viewpoint. Could I point out, first of all, I'm 81 years old. My father was
Sorry, I was clearing my throat. Sorry about that.
Railway signalman. I grew up at times of steam trains. He had 4 signal boxes he'd worked in from various times. None of them are there now. What will happen if somebody decides that it might be a good time to turn the railways into a giant computerized network? Because, I mean, they're doing this with cars. They're going to have...
No, they're not. They can't do it. It's impossible. They can't do it.
Driverless cars. Wouldn't it be easier to have driverless trains, which are run by computer? I mean, my father went on strike various times for things, and he always told me at the end of it, he'd finished up actually slightly financially less well off. I mean, we grew up at a time of rationing. I didn't come out of rationing until 1954. My mother went out cleaning in order to pay for school uniforms and things. So, it's very difficult to equate what's going on now with what we had as a kid. We seem to have a lot more now.
Dude, your brain is in a fog. Shut the fuck up. Boomers really are just the worst. Legitimately. Boomers, greatest gen, like honest to God. If you bought a house for 20,000 pounds when you were 30, it's probably worth 2 billion pounds now. Shut up!
I used to love going in Dad's single box. Great fun. Playing trains was the real thing. I used to know all the bell codes. So, will the computer come back and do it?
Terence, thank you very much for your call. I've got to say, though, that is one of the risks to jobs for rail workers right now, computerisation.
Well, that's got nothing to do with strike action. Technology moves apace and it's driven by competition, and they're always trying to automate work. That's nothing new with that. I mean, we've had that since the days of steam engines. We've had nothing but reform in the railways. We're one of the most technically advanced industries in the country. There's nothing new there.
I'd just point out that you still need people on the trains even if they don't have the drivers, because, if someone with a wheelchair needs to get on and off, they need someone to put the ramp out, things like that. It wouldn't be a cost-free to get rid of the drivers. You'd still need the staff.
Terence, again, thank you very much.
Also, you can't get rid of the drivers. That's an impossibility. It's an impossibility. It's like people are like, well, let's just get rid of the pilots and have the planes fly themselves. You know what happens when the planes fly themselves? It's called the Boeing 737 MAX. The computer puts the plane in the fucking ground on a perfectly clear day. The best way to operate this kind of transportation infrastructure is a combination of a well-trained, well-supported, well-compensated human being given all the tools and information they can to help manage their workflow by the most advanced computers we have. And having drivers and human beings as a sanity check when the computers misinterpret something and fucking try to derail the train or crash the plane. Jesus Christ.
Much for your call.
What people want is a workforce without the workers. That's what they want.
OK, let's find out what people want, shall we? Let's speak to Tam, calling from Greater Manchester. Tam, do you think unions are being too greedy here?
Well, first of all, good morning to you, and solidarity to Eddie and Mick. You keep taking that message to these Tories.
We'll keep going, brother.
No, I don't think the unions are being greedy at all. 12 years of austerity has caused this with little or no pay rises. Thatcher nationalised railways. As she said, it was costing the taxpayers too much money. But we gave 17 billion subsidy last year to rail companies. How much have we given since nationalisation? And also, Anne goes on about inflation. MPs' salaries for 15. They've only had 6 years of rises. Last year they didn't get a rise. They're on 90,000 a year plus expenses. Who's being greedy now?
Good point, that.
Yeah, you've never heard me defend MPs' pay rises in times of
inflation. You've never given back the pay rises.
Oh, see the Northerners? Like, the more northern you go in the UK, the more based you are. Or fuck. He's like, solidarity, bring it to these Tory bastards. Absolutely. Fuck. Why aren't you retired knitting in a fucking care home?
I challenge you. When have I ever defended an MP's pay rise in times of inflation?
You took the money though, Anne, didn't you? You didn't give it back.
I haven't been there for 10 years, you silly man.
So look, here's the thing. Wages need to go up in this country. They've been falling for 30 years. And at the same time, profits have been skyrocketing. That is a transfer of wealth from working people to private profits, a lot of it going off to tax havens. We need to rebalance the economy in this country. We need to have a country run for the people in it, not for the corporations.
Well, Eddie, you got the support of Tam there. Thank you very much for your call. Let's speak to Sandra, calling from the West Midlands. Sandra, do you think union bosses are being...
Oh, God, West Midlands. Here we go.
...greedy? Sandra? Oh, we don't have Sandra. OK, let's speak to Brian, shall we? Brian, you're calling from Lancaster. What do you feel about union bosses calling on this strike?
Good morning to the panel. Myself, I am a railway worker. I'm a member of the RMT, and I agree with absolutely everything that Eddie said. A couple of points I would like to make and questions that never seem to be asked are, first of all, Anne, Members of the RMT are not on £45,000 a year. That's if you're including the drivers.
No, it's not.
Average rail workers, including drivers. I'm not a driver. I'm a member of the RMT. Drivers are not members of the RMT. Also, during the pandemic, the railways were given, I believe it was £325 million for a bailout. Company I work for, they were in the hole £250 million and kept the £75 million as their profit. Surely that should go back to the government. And thirdly, why does it have to be the workers that make the cutbacks? Why do the workers have to save the money? During the pandemic, all of the management got their quarterly bonus, they got their annual bonus, and our managing director gave himself somewhere between a £30,000 and £89,000 a year pay rise. Yeah. Why do the workers have to struggle?
But Brian, equally, why should commuters struggle in all of this? I put this
because
to you.
That's the leverage. You need the worker. You need the railway workers to get from point A to point B. Pay them a fair wage. They're not asking for millions.
I put this to Eddie. You wanted a pay rise. You're going to get a pay rise, the kind of pay rise that other people in other industries would kill for, essentially. How can you...
Well, it sounds like they need a union too.
You reject 4% this year, reportedly another 4% next year, bonuses of hundreds of pounds. Your family members are going to get discounts.
We've got to stop with this moralistic rubbish about poor commuters and they're not getting a pay rise.
Yeah, well,
if you had any kind of moral compass, you would be outraged at the state of wages and the standard of living for the majority of people in this country. And you would be condemning the profiteers who've been robbing this country blind for years. But instead, you're saying commuters are having a hard time getting to work. Commuters are having a hard time getting to work when we're not on strike, because they're forking out big chunks of their wages to get to work on an overpriced railway so people can get profit out of it. And then they're going to have to spend more money on energy prices. They've had their wages kept low artificially by government policy. 4 years. We've had 12 years of a pay cap in the public sector. We've had wages falling for 30 years. And you're telling me that people are finding it hard going to work when we're on strike. They're finding it hard every day of the year. And that is because they're poorer now than they were 30 years ago.
It's the height of the summer holidays. Are you going to have people travelling, families wanting to go away, had a very difficult couple of years, wanting to go away, and you're going to impact that as well?
Well, we've all got these issues, haven't we? Everybody in the country wants to do something nice during the summer. But the blame needs to be laid squarely at the feet of the people who've caused this dispute. My members, some of them are in a third year of a pay freeze. We're being told that we're going to lose our jobs, we've got to face a form of fire and rehire, and we're going to have a below-inflation pay rise. Now, how does that work out? My people are fighting to keep the shoes on their kids' feet and the roofs over their heads. And we think other working-class people in this country should be doing the same thing. So that's where the sympathy should lie.
Are you also against the change to working conditions, such as working weekends, Sundays, the breaks that train drivers and rail workers, are offered or can have right now, and there's calls to change that
I don't know if you've noticed, but the trains run on the weekends, and they have done forever. It's an absolute red herring.
You get more money for doing that?
Of course, we get more money for working overtime, but not when it's a normal shift, no.
So on a Sunday...
Is that outrageous?
Hours? No, it's not outrageous at all.
Absolutely.
OK. Brian, thank you very much for your call. Let's speak to Linda calling from Kent. Linda,
why is this lady such a fucking right-wing corporate show? Oh, that's why she's on the... That's why she has the job she has. This guy's a great rep. He's doing a great job. It's just so fucking annoying that there's 5 people on the panel. What's that cuck that's all the way to the right? He doesn't say a fucking word. He must be the other left. He must be the Labour guy.
How are you feeling about rail workers potentially striking? Or actually, they will be striking come the end of July.
Yeah, very angry. I think it's utterly greedy. It's a me society. I'm a pensioner now. I hate saying that, but I am. I'd love somebody to give me £900. My son works in a supermarket. To earn what they earn, he would have to work for 3.5 years. He has to pay bills. How does he think they pay bills? They're like the first-class passengers on the Titanic, aren't they? We'll all jump off. We'll all have the lifeboats and lower the rest.
Her only analogy is the rich people escaping. Incredible.
Of you. It makes me so angry. My son works.
Boomers legitimately, and I mean this. I mean this with my whole heart. When the boomer generation has gone, humanity will have a chance. Unfortunately, in the 60s and 70s, the planet was enveloped with lead poisoning, and the intractable brain damage that has gone on to people that were alive in the 60s and 70s causes you to be more greedy, causes you to have anger and impulse control issues, causes you to be, quite frankly, more right-wing and fearful. When they're gone, we'll have a shot.
All through the pandemic, face-to-face with God knows who, and now, and got nothing but abuse, and the same now. You try it.
Well, our members did. They worked through the pandemic. They worked through all my members worked through the pandemic, Linda, and your son deserves an awful lot better than what he's getting. I bet your son's...
he's got.
54 pence, right. Well, that's a scandal. I bet your son's employers are doing all right. I bet they got enough in profits, but they don't want to give any of it to the people that make them for them.
I'm sorry, that's life.
That's not life.
The 70s. Yes, it is life.
The boomer cuck mentality! Honestly, the boomer cuck mentality is to drag down somebody else from getting a fair wage and defend your son's poverty. Fucking pathetic. Won't fight for her son, but will fight against someone else.
You're always going to have people at the top who earn good money. That's the way the world works.
Listen, either we're going to have a country run for the people in it that have got corporations, or we're going to have a load of corporations that have a country. Now, I think people in this country deserve better. We're the 6th richest economy on the planet, and people like your son should be able to live on the wage he gets. Instead of his employers, like my members' employers, taking huge profits out of this country, putting them in tax havens and looking after their own. That's got to stop. It's gone on for far too long.
Eddie, the point that Linda's making about her son, even about herself, is that you've been offered a pay rise. You have much sympathy for many people about pay. We'll understand there's a cost of living crisis, but there is an offer on the table, and yet somehow commuters are going to...
We're in dispute with a huge array of companies, every company that's controlled by the DfT. In all of them but one, we have been offered zero, nothing, except for a load of cuts and a load of detrimental changes. And in one company, we have been offered stripping out 1/3 of the entire maintenance workforce, slashing maintenance schedules in half, making people who stay in work worse off. And for accepting all of that, they want us to take 0% in 21, 4% this year, which is a real terms pay cut, 2% next year, which is a real terms pay cut, and a possible 2% if we all behave ourselves and we don't take any further strike action. That is not good enough. These people have been making an absolute killing
bonus
out of this country. The bonus
for family members.
The bonus, we've told them to abolish it. They spend £130 million on a bonus scheme, right? We've told them get rid of it. That's money you don't need to spend. They're stripping out 100 million from maintenance through taking jobs out of it.
We've said get rid of money for your members. On one hand, asking for more money, another hand saying no, we don't need it.
Well, it's actually quite simple. We've got a bonus scheme in Network Rail that's got a value of 130 million in it. The majority of people who get the bonuses out of that are the people at the top. Okay. And we've said rather than cut £100 million worth of jobs out of it, rather than getting rid of people's jobs, get rid of the bonus scheme. All it'll mean is people on 500 grand a year won't get an 100% bonus.
I think people at home who are struggling right now will think, gosh, I'd love...
Well, it's not that difficult. Either you're going to be...
What is she talking about? By the way, this is how liberals talk. This is how liberals talk. They can't ever make an argument for themselves. Stop talking about people at home. Start talking about your own brain, you fucking worthless clown. Absolute trash.
Poorer, or you're going to be better off. And if you don't get a pay rise that keeps pace with inflation, you will be poorer. So therefore, it is a pay cut.
Eddie Dempsey, pleasure having you with us today on Jeremy Vine.
Pleasure having a fucking dipshit. Holy fucking hell. Holy fucking hell, man. Organized labor is the only fucking way, dude. Organized goddamn labor is the only way. Are you watching the stream unsubbed? You're making income inequality worse. You are doing anti-praxis. We are the only Twitch stream that will not accept scam advertisers, and I will never fuck you over by selling you crap.